Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Kyle, and I like to apologize for it's been a while since I posted a video. During this time of year, I get really bad allergies, and on top of my allergies, I got a cold, so I was hit pretty hard, and I wasn't expecting to be out this long, but things happen. You can't predict the stuff that happens. So, instead of that, I want to bring to you an extra long video talking about a game franchise I feel doesn't get much love today, but it's a pretty big RPG franchise, but I feel like it's under the radar for a lot of people, and that could be because it's from a company not a lot of people know nowadays. They were much more popular back then, but nowadays they kind of fell into like a lesser known video game developer, even though they make a lot of video games every year. I feel not a lot of people talk about them. And the company I'm obviously talking about is Nihon Falcom. And Falcom is a company that you probably know very well for the Trails series. So Trails to the Sky or Trails of the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel, and Trails to Azure. I think was the recent one released. I'm not too sure. No, that's Trails into Daybreak. But yeah, I don't want to talk about any of that today though, because I don't have much. Let's you could say history with that franchise, with the Trails franchise. But what history I do have and with what series is the Yeez series. Now it could be Yeast or Yeez. I'm not too sure. I've always pronounce it as Yeez, so that's how I'm gonna pronounce it. But I want to talk about my history with it, not the history of the franchise. If you guys really want a video on me talking about the entire history of Yeez, I'll do it. But no, this is just personally me and how I found the franchise and how I became such a big fan of it and how it became one of my favorite video game series of all time. So, with that being said, let's get right into it on how the hell I even find this series to begin with. So, my history with Yeast started, I guess you could say, around the time the 8th game was released on Switch. Now, I didn't get on Switch, I got on PS4, but I didn't actually know that this franchise even existed for like it is a franchise that has existed for years, like all the way back on what the PC Engine, or I think even before that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's a franchise that exists for a long time, and I only ever heard about it when the 8th game came out because it was a pretty big game release on the Switch. I remember that. I think Beat 'em Ups was talking about it, and he said, "Oh, it's something like Monster Hunter. If you like Monster Hunter, and I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter, so I was like, well, hey, if this game is like Monster Hunter, might as well give it a shot." So I bought on PS4, and it's nothing like Monster Hunter. I'll tell you that much. It is nothing like Monster Hunter. But I didn't care regardless. The game was super fun. So it's basically an action RPG in a sense. In the 8th game, you're stranded on an island, and you basically just have to. You're stranded with a bunch of outcasts, and you have to find a way off, and blah blah blah. You know, don't really want to get into it too much, but yeah, no. When I first played the 8th game, I was really hooked by its gameplay, its visuals, its music. I'll tell you this right now. If you want a video game franchise with fantastic music, you play the Yeast franchise. It is such good music. Like I don't know what Falcom does, but it's like it's like a sensation you never heard before. I'm telling you, just listen to Sunshine Coastline, just the background music for like the first area you hear. It is such a great song. It is such a great starting song for any video game I've ever heard, and it's still one of my favorites even till this day. I feel it cannot be beat. It is such a monument of a song. But regardless, I thought everything about that game was fantastic. So I played it. Took me about 40 hours. It's a pretty chunky game because it really wants you to do everything just so you can get the good ending. But more on that, later on because it does come back to it does have its flaws in that sense because especially in the next game, Ys 9, I missed one side quest which kind of ruined everything, but here or there. But yeah, no, I really liked the 8th game, so I was like, well, hey, you know, why not try to play the other games in this series because the 9th game wasn't out at this point. It wouldn't come out for another couple years actually, I think. But yeah, so I said, why not let's try the other games in the franchise? And luckily, surprisingly, all the games, okay, all of them except for one, the fifth game in the franchise is the only game that has not been re released out of its original system, I think, because I have only ever been able to play that game through emulation. I have never actually been able to actually play it through any other means, so I don't know if there's like some version I don't know that exists that's more accessible, but yeah, the fifth game, and to be fair, the fifth game is considered like the black sheep of the franchise. But you know, you can play all the games. One, well, okay, except for five, you can play all the games from 1 through 7 on Steam. Now you can't play the original versions of the third game or the fourth game, and the fourth game has its own issues, which I won't get into. But let's just say that the original game was split into two copies for two different versions and two different systems. But you know, that's for another story. You can play Falcom's version of the fourth game on Steam, but I decided to pick them all up when they were on sale. Because they're pretty high priced. Not on sale, but I decided to pick them up on sale, and yeah, I instantly fell in love with the whole franchise. It was it was something I haven't done in a long time. Now, usually I'm a person who likes to stick to the franchises he knows. Like I love Sonic, I love Mario, I love a Metroid. I'm a big Nintendo fan, obviously, if you couldn't tell. But I also like like franchises I know like Final Fantasy and stuff like franchises I'm not too in a way of experimenting, but I was happy that I decided to take a chance with this franchise and really you know give it a shot because I found games that I never would have thought otherwise. And these are some pretty old games. Now, I will say that the franchise might not be for everyone. Like I said, they are action RPGs and they do, aside from like some of the older games, like, the first and second game won't take you very long to finish. They're like, what, like 10 hours, I think, in total between the two? That or I'm just really fast at playing video games, but they really didn't take me that long. But starting, I will say maybe from like the fourth game going down, these games can get pretty long. So they are RPGs and they are action RPGs. So if you're already not into that, it's probably not a franchise for you. But I feel it's accessible enough to everyone that anyone could just pick it up, understand it, and play it. It's very simple. You go around, you whack things, you do what the game tells you to do, and you just have fun with it and the characters. But I will say what really stands out the most in the Yeast franchise is its main character. Because I wouldn't be as invested in this series if the main character wasn't at least interested. Now the main character is mute, and you're like, how can a mute character be interested? Because this man has the confidence of, I don't know what else could be said. This man just has like he just exudes confidence, and obviously I'm talking about Adol Christian, the main character of the Ys franchise. Now, Adol is now basically all the adventures through Ys are basically just all log books of Adol's adventures, right? But it's more than that. Like you get to see him at different points in time of his life. Like not every game is chronological, so the first doesn't like the third doesn't always follow the fourth doesn't follow the fifth. They're at different points in his life, so you get to see how age affects him and how he goes about his stuff. It's hard to explain, but you really do like that different perspective, right? Because hell, even a new game. So the whole reason I want to talk about this, I know I'm a bit jumpy. It's because, well, like I said, these videos are very unscripted. They're just me going off the top of my head and talking about things I like. It's basically just me rambling. But what I like about what I wanted, why I wanted to really talk about this franchise right now is because the 10 game the Ys 10 came out, so then the 10th game in the series, um it just came out, and I really want people to go and play it. Now I know that sounds weird coming from someone who's a big fan of it, so obviously biases are part of it, but I really want people to go and experience this franchise. Even if you just start at the 8, if honest to God, if you don't want to play any of the really older ones, you can just play the 8 to the 10th. There are three really, really solid games that I think would hook you into this franchise. And they all have their unique aspects to them. That's the great thing about the Ys franchise, that every game brings its own unique element to it. Because, they always want to freshen it up, always try to change it, but they do it so good that each game stands out and never drags itself down. But yeah, the reason why I want to make this video is because I want people to go and actually give this series some love and show, Falcom and, the wider world that it's not just the big RPG franchises out there that really, bring the impact. Smaller, franchises or smaller, game developers can bring out, oh shit, you know what? I'm keeping that in. Itchy nose hair. I'm keeping that in on, I'm not going to get rid of it. But yeah, short to say, go play Ys 10. The Ys franchise is fantastic. Sorry for being taking so long, for making this video, but I wanted to just, ramble, go on about my love for the Ys franchise. And I hope you feel the same way. If you're a Ys fan and you want to talk about it in the comments, please leave some comments. I see people watch it. People are watching these videos, but they're not saying nothing. Please let me know what you guys are thinking when you watch these videos. I would love to know because your feedback really will help me improve. As you can probably tell, I'm very nervous making these videos. Like, it's in my voice, the way my head is like going all around and everything. So if you can, let me know. I want to engage with an audience. I want to talk to you. So please talk to me and tell me in the comments how you guys would like me to structure this better, because like I said, I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm just shooting the ballroom breeze out here. I do plan later on, making content when there's, better edited videos, gameplay and all that stuff like that, but I need to know if you guys will like it. But aside from that, go play Ys 10. The Ys franchise is fantastic. That's all I have to say. So, as usual, I'll see you in the next one.